Let's talk about a new kind of employee, one that works 24/7, can process a million invoices an hour, and never ever asks for a raise. Well, that employee is here. It's called Agent AI, but there's a huge catch. When this AI makes a multi-million-dollar decision, who's actually responsible? That's the critical question we're diving into.
So picture this. Your AI is tasked with optimizing your supply chain, and it autonomously buys a year's supply of a key component. Smart move, right? According to the data, it's brilliant. But by the time you see the quarterly reports, it's way too late. That component just became obsolete, and now you're staring at a massive write-off, and you never even saw it coming. And here's the part that should absolutely keep you up at night. The AI didn't go rogue. It didn't malfunction. It did exactly what you told it to do, flawlessly. See, the problem isn't a bug in the code. It's a fundamental flaw in how we're thinking about delegation in this new age of AI. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter. As AI becomes more agentic, which is just a fancy way of saying it doesn't just analyze and recommend, it actually acts on its own, we have to completely tear down and rebuild our ideas about responsibility. Who in the organization really owns the move when an algorithm makes it? So let's just get right to it. This isn't some debate for the future. This question is on your desk right now. When your new AI system approves a big payment or reroutes a critical security ticket, whose name is on the line? Is it you? The head of IT? Or maybe the intern who wrote the prompt that kicked the whole thing off? To really get what's at stake here, we have to wrap our heads around this huge shift in AI's job description. We're moving really fast from AI that just helps us out with tasks to AI that independently owns entire processes from start to finish. Just look at the jump here. On the left, you've got a chatbot drafting an email. Helpful but pretty low risk. But on the right, you have an agent autonomously approving invoices and executing payments. That's not an assistant anymore. That is a digital employee with real, actual financial authority. This shows you exactly the new level of risk and reward we're playing with. So why are we taking on this kind of risk? Well, because the payoff is astronomical. Think about those ridiculously tangled processes that bounce between departments for weeks on end. Agentic workflows just obliterate those bottlenecks. They crush decision cycles from days down to mere minutes. That creates a competitive advantage so massive, it's almost unfair. But this incredible speed is leading to the single most dangerous mistake that leaders are making right now. They're basically putting the AI in the driver's seat, then climbing into the back to take a nap. They're abdicating their responsibility instead of intelligently delegating the work. And this is the key takeaway. Using an AI agent doesn't mean you're not in charge anymore. The goal isn't to take your hands off the wheel. It's to build a smarter car. One where the agent handles the long, boring highways. But a human always has ultimate control for those tricky city streets. So what does this look like in the real world? Okay, let's take something everybody deals with. Invoice processing. Using an 80-20 model, you let the agent own 80% of the job, all that mind-numbing repetitive stuff like matching purchase orders and checking compliance. But that critical 20%, handling a weird exception, resolving a heated dispute with a supplier, and most importantly, giving the final go-ahead on a 7-figure payment, that has to stay with a human. That's your 80-20 balance, right there. Okay, but how do you actually enforce this 80-20 split? How do you build a system that catches the AI before it's about to make a mistake? Well, the answer is a framework called the verification layer. Think of the verification layer as a mandatory, "Are you sure?" prompt for your AI, but on steroids. Before it can shoot off a payment or close a critical ticket, it has to prove that what it's about to do lines up with your company's business logic, your financial rules, and your legal policies. It's like a built-in second opinion that stops costly mistakes before they ever happen. And this isn't just some random theory we cooked up. This whole framework is inspired by some really groundbreaking research from MIT on something they call recursive metacognition. Now, I know that's a mouthful, but it's a simple, powerful idea. Instead of just one AI making a call, you make it debate itself. It has to argue from different angles, the lawyer, the accountant, the operations manager, and then score its own certainty before it can act. It's literally like having a built-in board of directors for every single decision. So how does this virtual board of directors actually work? It's a 5-step process. First, the AI breaks a big task, like approve this invoice, into smaller pieces. Second, it runs simulations. Is this legal? Is it a good financial move? Third, and this is the magic part, it scores its own confidence. It says, hey, I'm 99% sure about this PO, but only 60% sure about this tax code. Fourth, if that confidence score drops below your set limit, boom, it automatically flags for human to review. The AI basically raises its hand and says, I need some help here. And finally, the agent only acts when every single step clears that confidence score. It's a system for building trust step by step.
This all sounds really powerful, right? But how do you actually get started? How do you go from this idea to something real? Well, let's walk through a straightforward 6-week pilot plan that will get you there.
Okay, first thing, and this is probably the most important rule, don't try to automate your entire company at once. That's a recipe for absolute disaster. Instead, pick one well-defined, high-volume process. Think of it as your first domino. Things like routing IT support tickets or qualifying sales leads are perfect because they're repetitive and you know what success looks like. Second, you have to draw your 80-20 line in the sand and draw it in permanent marker. Be crystal clear about what the AI is never allowed to decide on its own. This is always going to include final approvals over a certain dollar amount, dealing with weird exceptions, and any decision that's even a little bit of a gray area. Those are human decisions, period. Third, build the safety net. Take that 5-step verification layer we just talked about and apply it directly to the process you picked. And here's a pro tip. Start with a really high confidence threshold. You actually want the AI to flag a lot of things for human review at first. You can always lower the bar later once you start to build trust in the system. Finally, make it real. Don't let this great idea die in a committee meeting. Give a small, scrappy, cross-functional team a clear deadline, say 6 weeks, and a modest budget to go run the pilot. Honestly, constraints are your friend here. They force creativity and stop this from turning into a science fair project that never ends. And remember, the goal of this first pilot is not perfection. It's all about learning. It's about building that organizational muscle memory, figuring out what works for your company. It's really about creating a reliable system that lets you methodically and safely scale trust in AI across your entire organization. Look, the shift agentic AI is happening right now, and it's moving a lot faster than most companies are ready for. The technology is ready to own complex work. So the only question that's left is, are you ready to build the verification systems you need to manage it?